We're flying? Here we go. All right. Woo!
Stop barking.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Houston, a problem after dark tonight. Welcome. So, the two big newsies. One is tomorrow, after close, we should start getting our dividend shares into our accounts. Christmas, yay! And number two, ComputerShare just eliminated their very high limit orders that everyone had asked for because Bank of America, their prime broker, was like, we can't afford it. It's really hammering our liquidity. Which, several people have tried to explain to me that the brokers have to come up with cash in order for those limit orders to come through. But the entire point of T+2 is that the buyer provides the cash, not the broker. So it's bullshit. You should be able to set limit orders as high as you want, but these guys are just scared. And so ComputerShare now will only let you set $3,500 or 3% higher than the current market price, which essentially limiting you to setting market orders. I think it's BS, personally. And then what other news do we have happen? Ford's laying off 8,000 workers. Elon's Tesla dumped the entire reason that Bitcoin crashed is because Tesla dumped all their Bitcoin in order to claim that they made a profit this quarter. Even though technically they sold that Bitcoin at a loss. If you look at the number of cars moved and how much they sold, they actually lost money. But because they dumped $1 billion in Bitcoin, they made a profit this quarter. Which means they don't have that trick to use next quarter. They're out of Bitcoin. They got Doge to dump. So maybe they'll be dumping Dogecoin next quarter. And yeah, so 3AC... Binance, Celsius, all those guys went under essentially because Elon had, after telling everyone, I'm only going to hold, I'm never going to sell, he sold all of his Bitcoin in order to cook the books for Tesla's quarterly report. So, oops. And what else we got, Monkey? William Morgan sent me a cool list that was communities that had the highest percentage of home buyers backing out of deals, and essentially it's Florida, and then like a little bit of like Las Vegas, Phoenix, Arizona, and a couple other spots that went really cold during the last housing crisis. So we're on the verge. We're on the verge of a big old housing collapse. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. So anyway. One of these. Okay, all right. Oh, gotta show off the after. Oh, gotta show off the other intro. Oh, I almost forgot about that one. Whew. Not today, Satan. Okay. Do I have anything else to add, Monkey? I can't remember if I did. I'm sure the chat will remind me if I do have other things to talk about. So, Andrew Stewart. What do you think about Maristroika Brain, and should we mine at Maristroika Brain? I don't know about Maristroika Brain. Like, I know Maristroika dolls. The dolls inside of a doll inside of a doll. I know that, but I don't know about Maristroika Brain. And should we mine asteroids orbiting Earth and get them to orbit the moon? I think it's likely what we're going to do is we probably will either send a ship out or colonizers out to work on an asteroid that's near Earth orbit, and they'll work on it, and then deliver a bunch of material next time it swings past Earth, do something like that. Or, and it'll take an obscene amount of energy to do it, possibly crash them into the things like the moon. Trying to manipulate the orbital mechanics of a massive asteroid, it would I don't know if we could get that much fuel up into space. I'm sure the sci-fi goal would be to like have a space elevator go out to about 30,000 miles and then link up with a near-Earth asteroid and then anchor it to that, and so that we just mine the asteroid as it just continually goes around the Earth. But in all likelihood, we'd end up vaporizing every living creature on the surface of the Earth and just sanitizing it because we forgot to carry a one or something. So I would shy away from that. If anything, crash things into the moon. Safer that way. Guitar Stuff's got Ghost Town for me. Alright, this is a ghost town. It looks like Washington. Looks like Washington State. So which ghost town in Washington State are we? Oops. Looks like Seattle. 47 degrees north. That's like Seattle, isn't it? Oh, where we go? We are. Which one's this? Oh, Monte Cristo. Yeah, that's up in Snohomish County. Really high up. It's at 4,000 feet. Oh, 2,800. But a lot of the mines are at like 4,000. The peaks here top out at what? 6, 7? Yeah, about 7,000 feet. Monte Cristo had about 1,000 people in it, so if you guys can see where we are here. So Seattle proper down here. There's gold and silver mining up in Monte Cristo. And there's a little bit remnants to the town. You can hike up here and explore. There's lots of mine shafts up on the hillsides here. But there isn't too much. I think they had about 1,000 residents at their peak. There's a couple of buildings left. People sometimes camp in. But you can pan gold out of this river that comes out of here. I think it's headwaters of is it headwaters of the Snohomish or the Skagit? I can't remember. Follow. Darrington, Arlington. Yeah, it's gonna be Skagit River. Yeah, that's Snohomish. Skagit River. Okay, but it's a cool little town. If you get a chance to go up here, it's if you hike up there, it's like a day's hike to get to, so you're probably camping up here. Definitely a summertime thing. Don't try to do it in the winter because this is just snow. But there were lots of little gold mines up here. And the town basically died right before World War II, or during World War II, because they made gold mining illegal so that people would work on the war effort and focus on other things. But it'd be a great spot, actually, for a ski resort because you have some great north-facing cliffs up here, hills, and a pretty decent valley to build stuff in. But I think it's all national forest now. And it's part of the Glacier Peak complex. The Glacier Peak is almost 11,000 feet tall at its peak, and it's one of the stratovolcanoes in the area. Good spot, Guitar Stuff. Good spot. Okay, I gotta click on my thing. There we go. No intro. We did it. Yay. Okay. Oh, and who was that? Where was that? A non-C-SPAN lover. You're one of those guys that call on C-SPAN and just make the poor. I love seeing the clips of like the call-in shows on C-SPAN, and the person's like, "Caller, you're on the air," and you can see them just die inside as some person goes on some sort of weird rant, and they're just like, "Thank you so much for that call. Caller, you're on the air." I love those. But a non-C-SPAN lover. Never got in early before. Yay. Awake for darkness. Love you all, especially H-Dog. Have a good show. Thank you. Guitar Stuff. I'm also starting to see the Shorts Walked Away talks. Yeah. I've had a couple of large follower account fudsters interact with me today. One of them completely did not understand that the graphic user interface that Robinhood was known for was including emojis in their notifications. Like, not only just that, but they would like throw confetti when you sold things and gamified stuff. And he's like, "You're making all these screenshots up. There's no way a broker would include emojis." And oh my gosh. Sure, buddy. I'm making it They could eat up. Other than the fact that like Congress had hearings specifically about the gamification that Robinhood introduced to brokerages. Sometimes, man, I'm gonna facepalm myself to death. Okay. Forest fire. What are your predictions for MOASS timeline? Man, I would say that my initial prediction last week was wrong. I totally thought that the shorts would hammer us in the days following the date of record. I thought they would hammer us down. They did some hammering to because I don't think they want us breaking past 160. So they did short down, but they wasn't able to sustain. But I do think Friday, when the price resets, that it's gonna rocket. But I'm questioning myself. But I may buy. I may hedge my bet. I tomorrow at like 5 minutes before close, I'm going to try and pick up as many in the money puts and as many in the money calls as I possibly can. Because I think there's going to be action one way or the other, and I want to win on Friday morning. I want that sucker to go one way or the other and get a bunch of cash out of it, and like use that cash to buy up shares. Because my goal is to get to 1,000 shares, and I gotta do some tricks to get there. So yeah. I was hoping that they would crash the price, my put would pay out, and I could use that to buy a boatload of like $1 out of the money calls for Friday, and then those calls split into contracts of 400 essentially, and at the core of the price, and so it'd only be like 25 cents above strike. My strike would be 25 cents above the market, and if it went several dollars higher, then you're getting $1 for every single one of those shares. But yeah. Email address: Houston, why is it healthy to increase your heart rate with exercise but unhealthy to increase it with cocaine? I think because cocaine hardens your arteries, right? That you're getting your heart rate up there, but your arteries are like really hard and not flexible, so that when your heart rate goes crazy, your arteries go snap and then explode all over your insides, and you basically have an aneurysm inside your chest and then die from that. I think that's why. So if you're combining like heavy drinking, lots of cigarettes, and cocaine, you're probably you're like turning some arteries into like rocks, and then when your blood pressure goes up because your heart rate increases, they just snap. That'd be my guess. And like heart rate from exercise is supposedly burning some of that fat and helping clear some pathways, but we're Americans, our diets are garbage, so we're filling them up with lots of fat and cholesterol anyway. But an astute observation there, email address. Project Sun, did you see where a micrometeoroid did irreparable damage to James Webb Telescope? Yes, that was done back in May, and they were figuring like once every 20 years a micrometeoroid like that would hit. They've had 6 micrometeoroids hit so far, and that one that was bigger than they expected. I mean, a grain of sand going 20,000 miles an hour will basically go through you as a human being. So you can see like tests they've done with like sheets of aluminum or like blocks of aluminum and micrometeoroids that are, smaller than pebbles, just going through that stuff. A lot of damage can get done. And it might take out, I think it's the C3. There's 18 mirror segments that make up the 21-foot diameter mirror, 6-meter mirror. And C3 is one of the ones kind of middle-ish, and they're basically going to have to ignore it. So you have to like do something where the light's not going to reflect into the camera, so that it doesn't make all sorts of weird fuzzy blobby stuff in their imaging. And they're kind of expecting that micrometeoroids over 20 years or so would damage the mirror enough that it wouldn't be useful anymore. I don't think they're expecting one to hit this soon. But odds are odds for a reason. Just because something's a 1% odd doesn't mean it can't happen like right now. Jason Blackwell, if you remember it, do you have any insight on the geode I found in Colorado? It had red rock, outer shell, and shaped like a 50s UFO. It was solid, not hollow, dolomite, and white opal. That, depending which way the wind blows, you can get a lot of silica from stuff like the Yellowstone volcano. So when the Yellowstone volcano erupted, it covered Wyoming in like 30 meters of ash. The entire state. Imagine 30 meters. It's huge, 90 feet. And then it did significant ash over Colorado, significant ash over Nebraska. So you have an input of a lot of silica like that, and it gets into an environment that has water, especially standing water, like ponds or bogs. When water and silica combine, it makes opal. So if your geode happened to be a cavity where a whole bunch of silica and water got trapped, it could be an environment that could make an opal like that. Rocky Mountain opals are generally kind of pure white like that. So every once in a while I get ones with flashes of color. There's a really cool one. I was driving through Nevada like a decade ago, and I was going on Old Highway 50 just because I want to go through like little windy canyons and stuff, taking it slow. And I got stuck at this those like little flaggers, and they make you stop until the pilot car comes to collect all the traffic to go the other direction. And I was chit-chatting with the flagger lady because I was the only car there, and she showed me a really cool opal she had gotten from one of the ranchers in the area while she was hanging out. And he was like, "Oh, like this cool rock I found," and it was sort of the crook of a small tree, so maybe that big around, with a couple of starts or branches that came out, and it was pure white, kind of like your stone that you showed me, and it was all opal. And it's because that tree was probably something that was in a bog 20 million years ago, and all this ash rained down from a volcanic event, and it combined and fossilized the tree itself and into that opal. If you guys ever go to Iceland and go to the Blue Lagoon, the Blue Lagoon is like fancy tourist trap, expensive hot spring. It's not really hot spring, it's actually runoff from a geothermal plant, but it's so silica rich that opal is forming, that same kind of white opal is forming all over the rocks in the pools that they made, and it's like really smooth and cool. That's common opal. It's pretty cool. But yeah, your geode was bitchin', man. Real bitchin'. Okay. And a non-C-SPAN lover checking in with the Florida urban suburban real estate market, not really slowing on the coast. Hope it corrects, though. Young locals can't afford starter homes even with wage inflation. It's going to correct hard. 6% interest rates, plus a whole bunch of mortgages resetting that are adjustable rate, and cash being tight, people's investments going down. A lot of the home buying, at least up here, that was happening was folks taking margin on their investment accounts and then buying homes with cash, right? So they got $3 million invested. They take out a loan for $2 or $3 million. They buy a fancy home with cash, and they outbid everybody, and they get their home. Okay. Now, that margin, the collateralization on that margin, is the new home they bought. So now that their accounts have dropped 40% since January, right? Who's losing their home? Rich people. So, because they wanted to get this house, they foregoed doing a 2%, 3% mortgage, and instead took out margin on their investment accounts. So I think we're going to see a lot of rich people homes going up for auction here. They're going to be owned by brokerages, or being dumped on the market for cheap to help make up and raise enough liquidity to meet their margin call. We're going to see quite a bit of that, I think. Andrew Stewart, after MOASS, let's go cat or heli skiing in Alaska or Utah. Hell yeah! I'll bring my peeps. I got my reflectors. I'll go heli skiing all day long. Hell yeah skiing, as I like to call it. Never actually been, because it's so expensive. And I haven't been able to afford it, but I would love to go. Let's do it. Yeah, Randy Marsh. Yeah, Randy Marsh is a geologist in Colorado. He'll be able to tell you all about it. Kronk, I wonder if we're going to break 180 this week. That would be pretty fantastic. That would allow my one call to print really hard. And that would, where would we end up? We'd be at 40, like 47.50, I think. That's the price area we'd be on that. Does that make sense? Is that right? 45. 45 by 45. Per share. For Friday morning. I can take it. It's better than being at like 15 because we got hammered really hard or something. Ronnie 92, you getting those Friday calls for tomorrow? Yes. Yes. Sad Boy Incorporated, thoughts on buying $24 VIX calls next Wednesday? I don't know about the VIX calls. Like, there were a bunch of good earnings reports that came out, and so the SPY was like, woohoo! Despite all the other bad news about layoffs and the home crisis happening and inflation still being insane and, Russia wanting to expand the war in Ukraine, all this other stuff. And so they got up to like 396 on the SPY today. And they may ride that for a couple more days before they really hammer us hard again. Because there's going to be something awful coming out. There's something that's going to make everyone go, oh, panic. And then the SPY is going to drop to like 360. But VIX calls for next Wednesday? I don't know. I think they might try to make it last a week if they can before they start hammering stuff down again. And the Fed still hasn't really dumped their holdings, their assets yet. You keep promising they'll dump $7.3 trillion worth of stuff, and they said they're going to start last month. Instead, they added to their holdings. So I don't know. We may need some bigger signs of quantitative tightening from the Fed before we start to see more VIX explosion. Beatball 3710. I live in the Midwest. Can you help me wrap my brain around the magnitude and sheer power of how glaciers form the Midwest? We can get there. Well, first we can do glaciers here. Okay, so the Vashon Glacier, which was the finger glacier that came, like, basically carved everything you see here, and it came down and it got to a little bit south of Olympia. Crunch, 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 crunch. So here in the Puget Sound, as the glacier came down, eventually the wall of the glacier blocked off basically the Pacific Ocean, Strait of Juan de Fuca. And so all of the drainage from all the mountain ranges around here that drain to Puget Sound ended up making Puget Sound a gigantic 4,000 foot deep freshwater lake. And it put down, hundreds of feet of clay from all the silt that ran out of these mountains and filled up all this clay. And eventually the glacier pushed further south and pushed that water further south and started scouring and carving out the deep fjords in this area. And the same story for like every place you see fjords. You go up into Alaska, you see all these fjords. You go to Kamchatka, like Russia, you'll see fjords. Not quite as many fjords here because it didn't quite get as much precipitation out here. But you get to like Norway. Whoops, where am I going? There we go. Like my map is so turned sideways. You get to like the Norwegian coast. Again, all these fjord action from all these things. You go south. You go to South America. And again, the glaciers dug a bunch of fjords. They just carved them out. And what's happening is the ways glaciers form, it's not just like ice just randomly appears. It's snowfall. So snow falls and snow falls and snow falls and snow falls. We're talking like 10, 15,000 years of snowfall of feet and feet a year, right? Packing on top of each other. So you get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of feet. Eventually it's like squishing a bunch of pillows. Those pillows, you get enough pillows stacked up, the bottom pillows are going to lithified into rock. And so all that snowfall packs up really high, and the bottom bits of fluffy snow gets packed so hard, it sort of recrystallizes into a really cold, hard, blue ice. And that's your glacier. So as long as it stays cold for a long time, that glacier is not going to evaporate or sublimate in the atmosphere. It's just going to add to its weight. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what you see happening in Antarctica. I mean, we got millions of years of snowfall. Antarctica is one of the driest places on Earth. It's probably the driest desert on Earth is Antarctica. You get less precipitation in Antarctica than you do in the Atacama Desert, which hasn't seen measurable rainfall in 400 years. So you've got 100 million years of snowfall at really small rates, making for glaciers that can be like 6 miles thick in places. And when we have ice ages, you can imagine a glacier like this during warm times now covering essentially all of this, almost everything you can see here getting covered by glaciers, right? And the huge glaciers that happened during our most recent ice ages, they pushed down well into the Midwest. So the glacial moraine, the bulldozer of gravel and dirt and clay and everything else gets pushed in front of these glaciers, because the glaciers are so heavy they have to spread out. They get too tall, they're just going to spread out as much as they can, just like any other blob that you might encounter. They just want to relieve that pressure, and so they spread out and they push further and further and further and further south until they get to a terminus where it either gets too warm, or the rock gets too high, or not enough snowfall keeps falling, so it doesn't want to expand anymore. And so some of those moraines, let's see if I can find some. I last time I tried to find these glacial moraines, I couldn't find them very easily. Let's see here. They're in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and they name them for each glacial epoch. Where are you? Where are you, glacial moraine? Oh, come on, man. You know your eyeballs can find it, Houston. I have to type in... maybe I'll type in here. Might find it easier. Okay. Where are you on the map? Show me on the map. Oh, you should give me a map. Damn it. Sorry, one sec. Oh, here we go. Here's a map. Alright. Come on, give it to me. I gotta take off the Google Earth, gotta put on the Google Chrome, gotta go moraines. Here we go. So, you can't really see it, that monkey butt's kind of in the way. But, the moraines went as far south as Missouri, southern part of Illinois, and they named them different ones for where the terminus was found. It's like the Wisconsin Glacier, obviously the terminus was found in Wisconsin. The Illinois Glacier, found in Illinois. Kansas Glacier, found in Kansas. Nebraska Glacier, found in Nebraska. And then there was a weird spot here in Wisconsin, the Driftless area, which was a weird place where they think plants still grew because the glaciers never carved through. And there may have been a pocket of humanity living in there that wasn't living elsewhere. It's kind of crazy to think about. And so I want you to imagine a whole bunch of the water in the ocean has evaporated, right? And normally it evaporates, forms rain, rain falls on the hillsides, washes down the rivers go back in the ocean level stays more or less the same. But for 10, 15,000 years, water evaporated from the oceans, turned into clouds that then snowed in the northern and southern latitudes and didn't go back into the oceans. So every time that there was evaporation happening in the oceans, more and more snow built up at the higher latitudes, really far north and really far south, and for thousands of years, and made these glaciers that were, in some cases, miles thick, that wanted to even out. And this is kind of a good image of how moraine forms. So this glacier is working like a bulldozer and pushing all this rock and gravel in front of it, and then leaves behind and pushes, this is the moraine forming. And then when the temperature's finally warm, it leaves the gravel behind as it recedes. So you get these crazy berms. You can see them a lot in the mountains. We just do glacial moraine. Oops, I can't spell apparently. Show me a good picture of one. Good picture. I want a good picture, not a bad picture. I want a good one. These are all terrible. You guys are awful at this. Here we go. There's a good one. So here's a glacial moraine. you'll see this like crazy kind of snaky pyramid hump. And the glacier basically pushed down on this side, pushed that rock all out of the way, and then melted and retreated and went backwards. And you can get moraine lakes. There's actually a cool lake in Alberta, and right just south of Lake Louise, called Lake Moraine, and it's a lake formed in one of these moraines. Yeah, so these glaciers are huge. They're very powerful. They will carve rocks out of the way. The rocks will break off. There's gigantic, what are called glacial erratics, just around my hometown, where rocks the size of houses fell off a cliff because they're on top of the glacier, and the glacier carried it thousands of miles south from Canada. And when the glacier melted, the rock got left behind. So there's just some random huge rock sitting out in the forest that, you know, came from 1,000 miles away. One of the oldest rocks in the Puget Sound area was actually discovered when they were digging the foundation for a Safeway. So they found this huge rock, and the rock's, you know, about as big as a human. And for some reason, somebody sent a chunk of it off to get dated, and discovered it was like 500 million years old. It's the oldest rock ever found in Washington State, because Washington is fairly new, geologically speaking, and it came from northern Canada. It was brought down by the glaciers. So the rock has nothing to do with any of the land around here in formation, because it came from the Rockies thousands of miles away. It's pretty wild. Yeah, the glaciers are powerful, man. Super powerful. Okay. All right. Did that help you? Whose question was answering anyway? I forgot. Okay. Oh, that was B-Ball. That was your answer to your question, B-Ball. And Homer's ghost loves beans. Beans are delicious. Who doesn't love beans? Thoughts and prayers, Mara Troshka, supercomputer the size of a sun. I don't know that, man. Dog Toggler Dylan Francis is late in the right coast. Happy birthday. I'll watch tomorrow. Well, I'll see you later, Dog Toggler. Hugh Grant likes to throw beans at people. Excuse me. I can't breathe water and laugh at the same time. Okay. People are asking for metamaterial updates. I'm not giving metamaterial updates. I'll tell you, I still hold, and I still have calls for it. And I still think it's going great places, but I'm not going to give any other information other than that. Non-C-SPAN level for sale signs are still not common yet near us, but not looking like 08 in Tampa Bay, Florida area. Not saying what happened, but we have less arms and more institutional ownership than before. Good. I'm starting to see homes pop up here, and they're lasting longer. You know, 6 months ago, a home would pop up, and 3 days it'd be sold. I've got two houses right up the street from me, and one's at $700,000, which I thought's kind of low, because it's on the same size piece of land as this. That's got, I think, some cooler manicured yard. It's the house about the same size, and this place could sell for probably 1.5. And then an older remodeled farmhouse with a guest house, a garage that also has another guest house above it, and on like 3.5 acres of beautiful land, is up for $2 million, and neither has budged. As far as I know, there's nothing pending, no offers made. It's been a couple weeks, and we haven't seen that in 5 years, 6 years. I mean, most homes seem to sell before they even make it to market. Like, one of my real estate friends be like, yeah, I was about to put a house up on MLS, and another real estate agent just offered to buy it and was sold. So it's slowing down a little bit, at least here. They're still hoping for $2 million. It's a lot of money. Especially, if you aren't buying with cash, you're looking at 6% or greater on a $2 million loan. All right, loan calculator. What's that come out to? Okay. We're going to do a 30-year loan. 2 million, 20% down would be 400,000, so 1.6 million. All right, I do enough zeros. I did one too many zeros. Okay. 6% interest rate, monthly APR, payback, calculate. So you are looking at $9,500 a month mortgage. So almost $10,000 a month mortgage. Yeah. That sucks. Huh. Let's see if you're dumb enough to... Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Shit. I forget that. Oh, sorry. I'm in a loan calculator thingy here. Deferred payment loan. I want... Do they have an ARM? ARM mortgage calculator. Let's see what you're doing if you do an ARM loan for that. That's just a regular mortgage calculator. I want to do a just play mortgage calculator. Here we go. Let's just see. I'm curious. Mortgage amount. We're doing 1.6. Right? 1, 2. I gotta count my zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oh, I did one too many again. Interest rate starts out at 6%, right? Oh no, sorry. So original probably adjustable rate's probably like 2%. So you're paying $5,900 a month, and then it would reset to $10,000 a month. Oof. Ew. Not cool. Yeah. $2 million for a home just blows my mind. It's crazy. I don't get it. Okay, sorry. Mupulin, October 22nd is the 90-day window shorts have to find shares. Do you think this is why Ryan Cohen has call options for January? I mean, yeah, because you can exercise options in January as well as anything else. And it sounds like Cohen has been getting his proxies to clear house at Bed Bath & Beyond. And if that stuff goes in the money, then his ownership stake goes way higher. So, yeah, that's probably as good idea as you'll have. Guitar stuff. Geologically speaking, what's the newest and oldest place on Earth? Okay. The newest place, well, that's volcanically speaking, would be land created by the De Palma volcano in Isla de Palma in the Canary Islands, or land created by Kilauea volcano on Hawaii. Those are the two that are reaching the ocean right now. Actually, Kilauea hasn't reached the ocean in a while, so probably De Palma right now. And oldest would be one of the ancient cratons. You're looking at essentially like northern Canada, or maybe the Australian outback. Those are probably the two oldest exposed cratons, and those go to about maybe 3.5 billion years. Let me just double check myself here. Yeah, bedrock along Hudson Bay, Canada is the oldest. So this is bedrock along Hudson Bay, 4.28 billion years old. That's even older than I thought. I didn't even think things were lithified that long ago. Yeah, damn, that's old. Holy smokes. Oldest zircons date to 4.36 billion years old. Those are Western Australia. Yeah, so that's like bits of sand that were found to be that old. Okay. So the oldest rock prior to that was Northwest Territories at 4.03 billion. All right. Well, there you go. National Science Foundation throwing things for a loop. See, this came out since I got my geology degree, so I wasn't updated, even though it's 14 years old. But yeah, so 4.28 billion years old along the Hudson Bay in, was it Quebec side? McGill University in Montreal did it. That doesn't tell me which side. Greenstone expands bedrock, East Shore, yeah, northern Quebec. So, yeah. Well, there you go. So that would be up here in this area. Really old shit up there. So the craton is like the craton. There's kind of two cratons. There's one that is the east coast, and there's one that's on the west coast. These are the proto-continents that everything else kind of slapped onto over time as they motored around the oceans and accreted all sorts of little islands and stuff and got uplifted, made volcanoes. And this craton is the chunk that, when it slapped into Europe and Africa, made the Appalachian Mountains, the Atlas Mountains, and the coastal range here in Norway. I don't remember the name of it. And that was all one mountain range that was like 30,000 feet tall, basically as tall as the Himalayas are now. And then after they smacked together and made these two mountain ranges, they basically rebounded and split apart, and the spreading ridge formed, and this is how the Atlantic Ocean formed. And so there used to be a big ocean, sort of, is the Tethys Sea? Is that the one that was here? I can't remember. Big ocean that was basically the Midwest and the Plain States. And then as things motored along and we squished the continent together a little more, that uplifted and made for the plains. Yeah. So, there you go. There you go, guitar stuff. And another super chat. Okay. Victor Goyadov, Houston, can you explain the difference between fast neutron reactor and water-cooled reactor and why FNR is safer? Also, BlackRock reported $1.7 trillion loss. Yeah, BlackRock reported the largest loss of any institution or investor in history. They lost $1.7 trillion in the first 6 months of the year. I love it. Basically, what BlackRock lost their investors in the first 6 months of the year could have funded the entire U.S. government for the first 6 months of the year. That's wild. Okay. Oh, man, I have to... you asked me a question about nuclear reactors. Oh, my goodness. This is where my sister would come in handy because this was her expertise. I have to think back to 8 years ago, finishing the history of the atomic bomb, because they talk about building the nuclear reactors and the differences between them. Okay. A water-cooled reactor is literally using water to cool the components. Pretty straightforward, right? The fast neutron reactor, I think, is, and someone may need to correct me on this one, but I think it has to do with the distances between the reactor devices and when chain reactions happen. So the first reactor that was built by Fermi at Columbia, I believe, before he moved to University of Chicago. And he used blocks of graphite to slow down neutron bombardment. So as these things decay, you got these like weird isotopes that might have too many or not enough neutrons for the protons. And when they're unstable, they either give off alpha particles, which essentially they eject a helium atom out of them, beta particles, which is just a free proton, or gamma particles, which is gamma ray. And that's how they off gas. That's a bad way of phrasing that. Their instability, their unstableness. And if you get too much of these things together, like too much unstable uranium close to each other, when one beta particle is given off, it can hit the nucleus of another particle, ejecting more neutrons, which then hit more nucleus and other ones, and you get a cascade of nuclear reaction, and huge amounts of energy can be released there. That's essentially how you get a meltdown. But it's also how you generate heat, which powers the boilers, which turn the turbines, which gives you the energy, the electricity you need. So if you let this reaction go too crazy and get out of control without keeping the temperatures down, then you get a meltdown where literally the uranium gets so hot it melts, thus meltdown. And once it melts into one cohesive blob, there's no way to separate the pills of uranium from each other. And so there are ways you can use graphite, like in the the reactor at Chernobyl used graphite to block neutron bombardment. So graphite would come down and then get around like individual uranium rods, and then they could no longer shoot out the neutrons and have them hit the other uranium rods. And the graphite either didn't get, I can't remember exactly, but either didn't end up getting sent down fast enough, and then everything exploded, so you have all this radioactive graphite everywhere. But most reactors use water cooling systems, which is what Fukushima was a water cooling system. And with Fukushima, the earthquake essentially caused the water to drain, and so there was nothing keeping the rods cold. Yeah, and where was I going with this? I was describing nuclear reactors, but that's the most hand-wavy way I can describe it with my not an expert on nuclear power brain. Yeah. There you go. And I don't know which one's safer or not. I don't know enough about that. I'll have to ask my sister. She's the nuclear engineer, nuclear physicist. She knows. She taught this stuff to guys who like work submarines and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Mupulin. Do you anticipate any FOMO soon? If so, when, how? Friday, when the price drops. People are like, I can get in and buy a bunch of shares for cheap. Yum, 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 yum. And they're going to jump in there and gobble it up. And so, I'm hoping Friday. It will give the opportunity of the hedge funds to try and short the sucker down really hard from these like new low prices. But if we hit 180 tomorrow at close and the price is $45 a share, then we're above where we were in February 2021 after we hit 500 and something bucks, right? So there's still a window of opportunity for the sucker to scream. If after they divide the price in four, we're still higher than we were in February 2021, gangbusters, baby. I think to the moon again. Meow meow. Corvettes from next year on will be all electric. I'm thinking the idea blows goats. You think there will be a demand? There will be a demand. Yeah. For one, they will be insanely fast. Absolutely just insanely fast. I'm sure the battery systems will be remarkable. The 0-60 times will be unbeatable. Handling can make a low center of gravity. But will they be as sexy? A nice rumble from 427 pushrod V8 is damn sexy. So I don't know. I there's something that like the noise and the feel of the rumble that is just sexy, even though it's killing the earth. I totally get it. I understand. But man, I do like a throaty V8. They're good. I loved like my brother's old Z06. That thing hauled so much ass. He let me drive it and I gave him whiplash and like his neck didn't work for like 3 months. I'm like, buddy, you told me to put 4 to the floor. I did. We were racing up and down the access road to Camp Pendleton down in Orange County, and like we're in the middle of the day, so there's no commuting. We're just and then some officer, I think, thought we were some young, some like colonel thought we were some young, freshly commissioned officer racing our car up and down the access road, and he like chased us in his Volvo. And then when both of us got out with like our beards and stuff, he's like, "Oh, I can't reprimand you," and then took off. Meow meow! I snuck a goat blowing past YouTube AI. I'm sneaky. Well, I think YouTube might be into that. Let's see what their algorithm says about that. Okay. Where are we? Legacy 10 Productions, do you think the Mariners will win their 15th straight on Friday? So we had the break. Julio absolutely exhausted himself in the home run derby and made it really exciting. Hopefully he freshened up. His shoulders aren't too sore. And there's been a thing that showed like people after they were in the home run derby, like they don't hit very well the following weeks. They really are tuckered out. Like going for those home run shots really takes it out of them and kind of messes up their swing a little bit. But Julio is young and adaptable, so hopefully he'll come out of it just fine. But they're playing the Astros, and we know that those cheaters are they're a tough team. They're really good. They're one of the best teams in baseball. And they were leading really far in the, let's see here, where the standings are now. MLB standings. So Astros are still 9 games up. The Mariners are like 15 in a row, 14 in a row. Astros are still, they're still ahead. It's going to be a while. Yeah. Oops. Wrong one. Wrong button to push. Okay. Yeah. But, man, it'd be awesome if they win 15 in a row. Be like the O2 Athletics when they were like 10 games behind the Mariners, and that was the whole Moneyball thing, and they like won 21 games in a row to end up winning the West and going into the playoffs and getting past the Mariners. That sucked. It sucked a lot. And then the Mariners basically just fell apart after that. 2003 was still a winning year, but everyone got old, and all their steroid use started catching up to them. So guys like Brett Boone no longer could perform. Mupulin, if 350 was the old price ceiling for shorts back in summer 2021, what will be the new ceiling for shorts? Will resist on your opinions once the split. Divide 350 by 4, right? So, where's my button? There's my button. There's my other button. Bam. Turn you off. Turn you off. Turn you off. That's all right. So 350 by 4. Price gets to $87. $87.50. The shorts are screwed. So if we're at 45, we can do that. All we have to do is double it. We've doubled it plenty of times in the past. It's $87.50. We get to $100. GameStop has a $30 billion market cap, which is where they should be, because they're a $6 billion a year company. Other tech companies that do $6 billion a year, they're worth $30 to $50 billion. That's where Chewy was. Chewy made $6 billion in sales. They were a 30-something billion dollar company. So it's not unreasonable for GameStop to be a $30 billion company. So I think we see $100 a share sometime this summer out of this thing, before the drama happens October 22nd. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible. Guitar Stuff also asks, Houston, as someone who loves road trips and has post-MOASS road trip plans, my greatest disappointment was learning that you can't drive to either the Hudson Bay or from North America to South America. No, you can't drive North America, South America. One of the things we should do as a continent is build a comprehensive transcontinental or intercontinental highway system that basically feeds North America down through South America, down the tip of Terra del Fuego and back. You gotta take ferries. Hudson Bay I didn't know about. You can't drive to Hudson Bay? There's no roads that go up here? What? So is it all... Well, that's a road. Where's that road go? That road looks like a shitty little road, but it goes somewhere. So if you get to Fraserville, you can drive all the way to Moosonee, and Moosonee has a road that ends there. What the fuck? Don't you want to get to Chip Sands Island? Oh, great. Now I'm going to have to close this sucker and open back up again. Oh, you guys can't see shit because it's not on. Ah! I'm always doing that. One sec. Let me reopen my Google Earth because it's not loading maps. Dun 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 dun. Any day now, friend. Any day now. Open up. Open up. Open up. Open up. Wait, why are you frozen there? Great, everything is freezing. My video is still coming through, but everything else is frozen. You son of a biscuit. Why would you do this to me? Do something. Ah, crap. At least I didn't get to Big Houston. but Google Earth is frozen. Streamlabs are working. Oh, wait. Okay. That took a minute. Okay. Let's get to... Sorry, I got to Control Delete and close some things because they are not... Google Crash Handler. Did you work? Is Google that finally gone? Seen? There we go. All right. Now we can do it. Ugh. There we go. So, zoom in here. There was a little town right up here. This guy, Moose Factory. That's a funny name. And there's some roads here, but it looks like that road... Oh no, it continues. Continues to there. It does not get to Hudson Bay. Huh. You can see the ancient shoreline here from when sea level was like way higher. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, no road. No road that way. No road that way. What the hell? There are no roads in these places? So it's Waskagan. Do you have any roads? I mean, this is probably a brackish water, so Fort Rupert probably technically is Hudson Bay, even though this looks like it is mostly fresh water flowing in here. But like, you know, to get to Hudson Bay, I think you're right. That's wigging me out. But again, once it's covered in snow, you just get one of those like crazy bear-proof snowcat things and just drive across Hudson Bay. Do you have a road? You have a road that goes to there. What the fruit? Weird. Okay, I'm learning something new. And I'm getting the stupid warning that I'm not streaming. My streaming feed is not thick enough or whatever. Evening time is killing me. Okay. Where did my... Sorry, my chat just reset here. Where did it go? Oh, A South. Houston, I know you don't like Elon, but I was curious about him saying he thought of detonating nuclear bombs at the poles of Mars. What was that supposed to accomplish? I think the idea was it was going to release a bunch more atmosphere. You detonate nuclear bombs, it flashes a whole bunch of carbon dioxide into gas, and then that, you know, goes in the atmosphere and thickens the atmosphere. It may for a moment, but then the atmosphere is just going to freeze right back up again and sink all that stuff back into the poles. So, wouldn't do much. May for a moment generate more gas in the atmosphere, but then it would just freeze right back down again. You need something that's going to consistently keep Mars at a warmer temperature than it is, and the only way you're going to do that is having volcanoes consistently outgassing more atmosphere. But the core is shut down, so those volcanoes are never going to erupt again. They haven't erupted for probably 3 billion years. Oh, just quit resetting, you silly chat. Drive me up the wall here. New Poland. Understand the division by 4, but that was a year ago. Shouldn't it be lower by now than 87? Shouldn't they be hurting way worse than 2021? That because they're going to divide the price by 4 at the close price tomorrow. So whatever the close price is tomorrow, That's the price gets divided by 4. So if they want to have the same damaging obligation, then whatever equivalent price of that 350 would be $87.50 for the split price on Friday. From that price going forward, if it gets to $87.50, that's the same as it was being at $350 prior to the split. Make sense? Because you add those 4 up, you get $350. So if we get to $100 a share, it dooms them. They're screwed. $100 a share is equivalent to $400 a share. And in any sustained amount of time at that price, that's when Robinhood shut off the buy button because it was going to cascade and wipe out the entire market. And so that's where we're looking. Get that $100 a share, things go crazy. Yeah. All right. B-Ball 3710 could upcoming Apple earnings could upcoming Apple earnings trigger the next sell-off in markets? What's your prediction? Go trigger next big down move. We've already heard that cell phone sales are off like 17%, which is a big deal because the single largest cell phone maker I think is Apple. Next is Samsung after that. But yeah, if sales of Apple phones are off 17%, that's some big news. It'll probably cause their stock to shrink if that's the case. And then if other cell phone makers come in with similar bad news after that, you get your Samsung, Huawei's, Sony Ericsson, whatever. Those guys come out with bad news as well. Then we're going to see a big old shrinking in the tech stocks. And, is it because people can't afford new phones? Or is it because they finally made a phone that wasn't made of glass and lasts more than 2 years? Like this thing, you have to have it in a case because it's not built like the old phones, and it's got a glass back and a glass front. Like, why would you put a glass back on something? How stupid is that? It's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. But it's thin and slippery, so you got to put it in its rubber case. Otherwise, it's going to explode all over the place, and you need a phone. Old phones, the Nokias will last friggin' 1,000 years. I have a friend that her Nokia, old brick Nokia 9000 or whatever they were, fell out of her pocket while she was jumping off her sailboat. She lived on a sailboat, and it fell into the harbor, and she watched it just glow. And she said for like a week, she could see when someone was calling because the screen would come on. And then finally some guy dove down and got it for her like days and days later. Phone's totally fine. Just had to recharge it, and it was fine. New phones, not necessarily as durable. But they must be more durable than before, or people are so poor they can't get new ones right now. Which, with the way gas prices are, that makes sense. Okay. Javier holding 100 GME, but I can't believe powers that be will let an event like the MOASS possible. For the moment, I see the MOASS is playing the options chain with covered calls with repeat cycles and run-ups. I mean, that's one way to make money. Generating cash with the calls. We have a volatile stock. Generating cash with the calls is a great idea. But when you generate cash with those calls, what do you do with that cash? You should go and buy some more shares. And then keep some of that cash, do the calls again. When they win, go buy some more shares. Keep some of the cash, do some more calls. When you win, buy some more shares. As you build up more and more shares, and you keep playing the options game, then you manage to not only take money from them each week, but you manage to continue the buy and hold fever. Yeah. PG. Houston, is it more beneficial for the James Webb or the world's most powerful microscope? At this point, James Webb, because we've built a microscope as powerful as they'll get, and they'll never get more powerful than they are, than with a tunneling electron microscope. That's until someone knows how to like break quarks out of other atomic particles and use those suckers to make a telescope. The electron tunneling microscopes are going to be the best way to go. Tunneling microscopes are a little bit better than scanning microscopes, but scanning microscopes are still pretty awesome. After I graduated high school, one of the rich guys discovered that the Undersea Warfare Center at Keyport was selling off their scanning electron microscope, and he bought it for pennies and then donated it to the high school. And so as a result, my high school now has like PhDs that teach physics and chemistry and stuff because they're doing research with the scanning electron microscope that's at the high school. So, you know, my college didn't have an electron microscope, but my high school does. Awesome Bell in northern Germany, welcome. Hope you're having lovely weather there. It's probably hot as hell in Europe right now. Brendan, any thoughts on the crypto tectonic? I have no thoughts because I don't know what that is. So sorry, I can't answer that one. Oatmeal crust, worst case scenario if Cascadia subduction zone went off. That would be summertime along the coast. So if those of you who don't know about the Cascadia subduction zone. So essentially, every subduction zone on Earth has had a major earthquake except for the Cascadia subduction zone. And so this plate here, this is the Juan de Fuca plate. You can see this seam. This is the spreading ridge of the Juan de Fuca plate. And it's this tiny little oceanic plate that's basically surrounded by the Pacific plate. And the continent of North America is being pushed ever westward over the Pacific plate. And so any oceanic plate it hits, the oceanic plate is denser, so it dives underneath, and where it dives underneath eventually melts and makes the volcanic ranges that we have along the coast here. And so the subduction zone goes from Northern California, basically kind of near, was it Crescent City? Near Eureka, sorry. So just north of Eureka, or just south of Eureka, north up above Vancouver Island. And this is the Juan de Fuca plate. And so this, was like 900 miles or something of subduction zone is the only subduction zone since 2004 not to have a major earthquake. And the last time it had one was January 1st, 1700? It was like New Year's Day, 1700. And the only reason we know that originally was because there was an orphan, they call them orphan tsunamis, hit Japan. Hit Japan, they're like, what the hell? Where'd this come from? There was no earthquake. So they call those orphan tsunamis. And then when scientists were finally able to like come to the coast and measure things, they found here in Copalis, Moclip, Seabrook, Copalis. Here in Copalis, there is a crazy ghost forest that is inland in here of dead trees, and they've been dead for 300 years. And so they went in and looked at the trees and the soil around the trees and said, oh, dating back to the year 1700, on some date, a whole bunch of salt water inundated this entire area and killed all these trees. We can see the mud, it's oceanic mud, it's full of salt. These trees all died the same date because they carbon dated all of them. And they discovered, like, holy shit, there must have been a huge earthquake that happened here that caused a tsunami that wiped out the coastline here. Now, if the earthquake happens in the wintertime, people aren't out on the coast. They aren't in places like Long Beach and Westport Ocean Shores or Cannon Beach or Pacific City. They're not vacationing out in their beach homes. So there'll be less people to get murdered by a tsunami. But if it happened in the summertime, worst case scenario, you've got, I don't know, probably 250,000 to 500,000 people, 4th of July weekend, hanging out on the beach, having a great time. And the rumble happens, and they all try to hightail it to high ground. But some of the places, a little easier to get high ground in Oregon coast, much harder on the Washington coast, especially if you're someplace like Oysterville Ocean Park, where you're on this huge spit, and there is no high ground. It's just going to wash you into this lagoon and keep going and knock you into the hillsides on the other side of Willapa Bay or the other side of Grays Harbor. And the tsunami's get magnified. It's going to wipe out Aberdeen. It's going to wipe out Cosmopolis. It's going to wipe out Hoquiam. The hometown area of Kurt Cobain and the amazing band Metal Church came from here as well. And much of the hills in this area, so you get a little north of Copalis Beach into this area, and like Mo Clips and stuff. The hills that are formed there are formed as a result of the stress of the Pacific Plate trying to dive under everything and getting locked, and the North American Plate still like coming west and building up and building up and building up and building up. So there's spots that are probably 30 feet high since the last time they had a good earthquake, that the minute that fault snaps and the Pacific Plate dives down, that land's going to go shrink and drop 30 feet, and the ocean's going to come roaring in. So it would come roaring in without a tsunami, but it'll come roaring in just a result of the sea level drop, or the land drop below sea level of a lot of these communities. And they're just going to get wiped out, which wiped off the map. The earthquake also will probably, if it's a localized one, so like one spot kind of snaps here, let's say, you're looking at a 5-minute long earthquake. If it is an entire rip along the whole subduction zone for 900 miles, you could be looking at a 15-minute long earthquake at 9.5. And that kind of sustained jiggling would wipe out every bridge, tear almost every home off its foundations, collapse any brick structures around. I don't care how hardened anything is, that's a long time to shake. Puget Sound, you'll probably see tons of landslides, so you'll get localized tsunamis from shaking like that. Same thing with Vancouver Island and the Straits of Georgia. The good thing is that Seattle's, 150 miles from the zone there? Sorry, let me click there. 148 miles, 150 miles from the subduction zone. So Seattle won't have the worst of the 9.5 shaking, but it'll probably be the equivalent of a 7 point something for 15 minutes, which is bad enough. Pioneer Square, like the old town area of Seattle, it's all built out of brick, toast. So this entire region here is all fill. This is all like sawdust and dirt to fill in these mud flats they used. So they tore down a bunch of hills in Seattle, and they took that dirt and they threw it over here, and then they built the industrial area, and they built places like Harbor Island, which at one time was the largest man-made island in the world. And that fill is like jello. It jiggle, 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 and anything really dense wants to sink, and anything light wants to float. So the foundations of buildings will sink into that stuff, and that jiggling will last longer than the earthquake. So like, while the earthquake may last 15 minutes, the jiggling might go for another 2 or 3 minutes afterwards until everything settles out. And so this whole area is toast. All these bridges will collapse. Most of those buildings will be ruined. Yeah, they're screwed. So, with tsunamis, if you are vacationing in the Spits here in like Westport, Ocean Shores, Long Beach, you're dead. Unless you can get on top of like some school building that's designed to handle this stuff, you're wiped out. So 100,000 dead, probably 500 billion to $1 trillion in damage, be my guess. Chunks of Portland wiped out, chunks of Seattle, Tacoma wiped out, chunks of Vancouver wiped out, Victoria hit with tsunamis, Tofino gone. And then you're looking at, the tsunamis that would then sweep across the Pacific, wipe out Hawaii. So Hilo's gone. Hana's probably gone. Chunks of Honolulu and the east shore of Oahu gone. Lihue gone. And then the rogue tsunamis would hit the Philippines, Japan, causing another 500 billion to several $1 trillion in damage. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. Pretty gnarly indeed. Okay, and Meow Meow. On the Yucky scale of 1 to 5,000, what does Amber Heard James Franco think score? Are they dating or something? Isn't James Franco in trouble for also like being a predator? So why would she start dating him? I don't know. Are they dating? I haven't heard that. So I would just, I don't know, man. I'd just avoid everybody at this point. But wasn't Amber Heard dating that weirdo lady, Eve Fartlow? I thought she was dating her. But, who knows? She plays the field, so more power to you, I guess. Okay, where am I? I'm at 10:45. Got 45 minutes to go. Okay. Scrolling. Oh. Ichigo. 1.7 trillion so far. Yes. They have more to go. They can lose a lot more than that. Edward Conkle, Bank of America, is trying to negotiate share prices with GME with computer shareholders. They are starting at 3,500 to see who will bite. I believe this is the end. I think it's a good sign that ComputerShare is giving into this right now. It's probably a good sign for everybody else. Bank of America, they showed the bank losses this quarter. They're insane. Bank of America was like 50% losses. That's not sustainable. I mean, the banks originally were supposed to just be steady climb. You know, you take money from your clients, they invest in or they deposit money into your savings or checking accounts that you provide, and then you excuse me, you use that money to then give out home loans and business loans and credit card loans and whatnot. But they went back to using that money to play the market, and now the market's shitting bricks, and they don't have any money left to give out more loans, which is causing a credit crunch. And that credit crunch is going to stall the economy really hard right when we're having inflation. So all hell is going to break loose. We're in for it, man. This is, it's going to take years to climb out of whatever it is we created out of this thing. Yeah. Meow meow, they porked. Ah. Yeah. I mean, but seriously, doesn't James Franco get in trouble for like being a creep? I thought he had. Might be wrong. Don't sue me, James Franco. But I thought he was one of those guys that got me too'd. Amber Heard, James Franco, and Elon Musk porked. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Huh. All right. Thanks for putting those visions in our head, meow meow. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Edward Conkle, the fact that it's happening the day before the split end is not a coincidence. I think you're right. There are no coincidences here. Everything is fairly laid out, I think. Eager to squeeze how many consecutive quarters to be on the S&P 500 when GME in this basket? I think they qualify for it now. Because I think they had to be over 7.5 billion market cap consecutively for X amount of time, and stock trade at a certain level and have a certain amount of cash on hand. I think they've met that, but they haven't been put in there yet. Maybe because they're too volatile. Maybe there's volatility problems that, as long as that volatile, they won't be added. I don't know. I don't know what the bias is, but I think last June people were talking about they qualified for S&P 500. Last June the price was almost twice what it is now. So, yeah. Nuclear. DJBD, is it time to buy some mortgage-backed security puts? I think you can. There are mortgage-backed security ETFs that you could get puts on. Someone had one. It was like the VMBS. Is that one of them? I think that was one of them. That, you can go try to get those credit default swaps, but I think you have to be like an institution or something to qualify for trading those. And on those playing engine sound from the speaker, referring to the electric Corvette. I mean, they do that already. They'll pipe in engine sounds through the speaker system for your car by switching it. which is so hilarious. Aaron T. Houston, where in the world would you say is the best to start setting up for climate apocalypse? We talked about this before. Probably Great Lakes. The Great Lakes areas. You got plenty of fresh water. Temperature going up would only mean you have like less horrible winters to deal with. Like I think Detroit got ranked as the best city for climate change, like apocalypse in North America at least. Although it may just become bug central. It may become so many gnats all year long that 9 months of winter, 3 months of bugs becomes like 3 months of winter, 9 months of bugs. Mosquitoes and gnats are just brutal out there. But yeah, you got tons of fresh water, and you're still going to get weather systems because cold weather will still come down from the north. Warmer weather will still come from the Gulf and meet and make for all sorts of crazy weather happen. The worst is probably going to be in the southwest. This is probably going to be largely uninhabitable. The Colorado River is going to be dried up, and there's going to be no access to water for a lot of these folks. The Central Valley is losing so much water that they're starting to pump out the groundwater, which is in some places dropped the Central Valley 70 feet in elevation. And if the Central Valley drops too much, then the entire Pacific Ocean comes flooding in, and this becomes inland sea. And when this becomes inland sea, essentially 20% of the world's vegetable crops are gone. So when we talk about famine, this Central Valley right here is where most of the food you eat comes from. This feeds most of North America. Yeah, there's lots of grain and stuff out here. But you want vegetables, you want fruits, you want grapes, you want oranges. The vast majority of it is coming from here. And so if this sucker floods, becomes inland sea once again, and wipes out, Fresno and Bakersfield and Sacramento and stuff, then that's that. Buy puts on America at that point, because we're going to starve to death. Yeah, so, bad news, Houston, coming along strong again. Where was I? We got heebie-jeebies in the UK. Welcome. Toma, Houston, did you watch Goodwood Festival Speed? I did not. I did see the Spearling crush the hill climb. That thing was nuts. It's hard to make those cars look fast on the hill climb. If you guys don't know, the Goodwood Festival, there's a hill that they race up every year, and did it set the record or break the record? Or sorry, did it get close to the record or break the record? I can't remember. But there was an electric car that tiny little thing looked like the size of a bathtub that absolutely crushed it. I recommend looking it up on YouTube. It's hard for cars in that situation to look fast, and that thing looked fast. Holy smokes. But I didn't get to watch it. I just watched that clip of that little electric car just going nuts. Whenever the show up to the Pikes Peak climb. When is the Pikes Peak hill climb? When is that next? They usually do it like July, August, don't they? Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. 2022. When is the next one? Tell me. Don't just... Oh, no, they did it already. They did it back in June. Sorry. I thought they did it a little later in the summer. But they did it already last month. 3 weeks ago. Alright. So. But yeah, they had like F1 cars doing the race this year. Like friggin' red. Was it a kart car? I can't remember. But, yeah. It takes a lot of energy to climb those hills, and it's awesome. Okay. Hassenbell MAN, the big truck making company, released a bi-fuel diesel H2 ICE engine. This should have the best of both worlds once we figure out how to sustainably create H2. So it can burn diesel or it can burn hydrogen. Works for me. we can create hydrogen just through electrolysis, hydrolysis. You run electric charge through water. It breaks apart the oxygen and hydrogen molecules, and the hydrogen floats higher, so you capture it into basically like an inverted still of sorts, and that's how you create it. It does take energy to do that, so the best way to do that is probably not like burning coal to then break apart water to then make the hydrogen to then power a car, but using a more sustainable source, such as solar, geothermal, hydroelectric, wind, whatever. But we can do it. You can also probably prolong it by running electrical charge into a water tank in the vehicle. I'm pretty sure that's how those water-powered cars worked. Was they had a standing electric charge. It would create enough hydrogen that would then power the engine. The engine would then work an alternator that would then, do more electrocution of the water to create more hydrogen, and so on. And then when you're out of water, you just pour more in and start the whole process all over again. Maddie Vision Houston, how much do you like NextBridge for scale 110? I mean, they're going to have the oil fields. My guess is NextBridge will be a short-lived company because they'll probably sell. That's my guess. Flaky Booger, do you see Adam Aaron's tweet about August 5th squeeze? I know he was talking about some special thing he's going to announce on the 4th. Yeah. But I don't know why. I mean, he may announce some sort of crazy deal. He may announce a merger. I think we'll be seeing that they'll be entertaining probably multiple studios trying to buy their theater chain or at least do a deal with them. SS Minnow Johnson, there's a drug war in Mexico. No way I'd want a highway coming here. SS Minnow Johnson, the highways in Mexico already come here. How do you think people drive around Mexico? I think they get to the border. The highways go right through there. What we don't have is we don't have a comprehensive modern highway system that connects the entire continents. And there's no highway that goes between the isthmus in Panama to Colombia across the canal through the jungle there. Anthony Arriaga, I miss your thing. Anthony Arriaga. Where are you? I don't see you, Anthony Arriaga. Sometimes I do miss things, and I try to. I don't see my man. Sorry, Anthony Arriaga. I don't see where you commented, so throw it in there again. I'll try to get to it when I can. Okay. I feel like I did something with the Hudson Bay thing, like I found a glitch in the Houston system. It's glitching out. I'm going to try and find a road that gets there. But my guess is it's covered with ice for so much of the year that they just probably drive on the ice or something. I don't know. Corey Andrews, what if they nuked the heck out of the core of Mars? How could you get it molten again? Well, here on Earth, the deepest we've ever been able to drill was the Siberian deep bore, which I think went 16 miles. And it got so deep that the diamond drill bits started melting. And we couldn't, the Soviets couldn't drill any further. So being able to drill into the core of Mars means you'd have to drill a couple thousand miles. Mars is what, 4,000 miles across? So like 2,000 miles to get something and you have to drill a huge core to be able to get a nuclear bomb down there. So let's say a meter across. So you have to be able to have a machine that can not only survive the pressures and heat that deep, but be able to drive a meter diameter core that is thousands of miles thick without torquing the thing out of existence. I just don't think there's a way you can get down there. So you might be lucky in that there's some crazy lava tube in Olympus Mons or something that you could follow down and drop off the nuclear bombs and in the center. But you'd need so many nuclear bombs that would probably blow the planet apart. and then when the planet recoalesced into a new Mars, then it'd be all melty and have new atmosphere all over again because the volcanoes would be going off. But you're looking at several 100 million years to overcome that. I forgot to go to Big Houston for a while. Don sees your shade in. Dude, my insomnia's kicking my butt. Wasn't expecting you'd be in. Might as well stay up. Welcome. Welcome, Don. You got me another 29 minutes. And then I am going to probably have a late dinner. And then maybe do some bedtime stuff. I don't know. Chris Detloff, Houston, do you expect GME to absolutely go up in price after they split starting on Friday? Obviously, not financial advice. I think it will. I think people are going to be stoked. They're going to pick up whatever meager shares they can with their paychecks on Friday. And they're going to get it while they can. Ronald Rose, how does the government or the DOJ get the monies that has been moved overseas, Panama, Grand Cayman, and whatnot? Or is that money never returned forever? Well, the banking system everyone uses was created by the U.S. government. So the U.S. government has a secret back door that basically allows them to freeze any finances they want in the world and to seize it however they want. So it's kind of the magic of the U.S. government creating the modern banking system. Now, Russia and China have formed a new one that I think India, Iran, and possibly Turkey have joined to counter that. But all those countries still need to be part of our system if they actually want to do any trade. So, I mean, that's just the way it works. They all want dollars in the end. They may pretend like they want Russian rubles and Indian rupees, but they really want dollars in the end. That's what they want. Red Z-Line, man, I work on the Hood Canal and worry about that tsunami. Well, good thing is that there's steep hills lining the Hood Canal, so you can get uphill really easily, so don't worry about it. Karstam El Sharif, tell us about stem cells and why it isn't used more. They're trying. So if you guys don't know stem cells are the young sort of, I don't know how to describe it, like when a cell is created, when like you have a little zygote that's becoming a fetus and so on, when those cells are replicating like crazy, when they first replicate, they can essentially be anything, right? They contain, the mitochondria, they contain all the 46 chromosomes, the 23 ordered pairs and whatnot. And then there's usually like a hormone or an enzyme that triggers it and says, okay, you're going to be a kidney cell and you're going to be a bone cell and you're going to be a brain cell and whatnot. But when before that enzyme or protein or hormone triggers that cell to make up its mind as to what it's going to be, you can theoretically use that cell and insert it into older people with issues, and it can correct those issues, such as if they have aging diseases and they have a hard time, generating new fluid for the brain, or their heart is failing because it's too old. You theoretically could inject those cells into the person, rejuvenate and youngify their organs, and start all over again. Now, the usual place we get those stem cells was from embryos that were getting destroyed that were used for IVF or whatever. But during the Bush administration, they made that research illegal in the United States. So a lot of the researchers left the United States and went elsewhere. And then the Obama administration, those rules got lessened again. They did find some stem cells in umbilical cords. So there's some research that was being done with those. They also were using like fetal pig stem cells. There was a guy, it was like 60 Minutes or something. He had Parkinson's disease. Essentially, removed the top of his head, dumped a bunch of pig cells in his head, tapped his brain again. And he was like, I don't have Parkinson's disease anymore. So there's some pretty incredible stuff that can happen with it. But we need a lot more study and a lot more money and a lot more forgiving governments to allow that research to continue. And that's where we are. Cole Trickle, how about them twins? We're looking like 87, 91 yet. Twins are looking good. I pick them for the playoffs. They seem like a solid team, man. It's about time. Although the largest playoff drought of any team is the Mariners right now. So, and are they the only team to ever make the World Series now, Monkey? Yeah, because Tampa Bay made it, and the Washington Nationals, who was the Expos, they made it. So yeah, the Mariners are the only team never to make it to World Series. So, come on, Mariners. Let's actually do a World Series for once, rather than disappointing everybody forever. Karsten El Sharif you're asking why we don't have stem cell therapy in Denmark. You might have rules against using fetal stem cells. I would look into that. I don't know the laws in Denmark, but look and see if they've got some sort of law banning stem cell research, at least fetal stem cell research. Lupe wants to know about the limit orders thing. It's about selling. So before, you could set a limit order for like $214,000 in ComputerShare and just let it sit there to show everyone like, hey, my shares are going to sit there at $214,000 and they ain't budging. And ComputerShare now has eliminated that ability. So starting tomorrow, the highest order you're going to be able to set is $3,500 or 3% higher than current market price. So if you have Berkshire Hathaway stock at $450,000, you can do $450,000 plus 3%, and that can be your limit order, which is kind of crappy. I mean, it was 50% for Fidelity, and then Fidelity listened to everybody, and they made it 500%. So in Fidelity, you can do 500% of whatever the market price is. You can set as a limit order. So basically 5x that sucker. Dan Summit, you have somewhere tropical. Is that somewhere tropical? No, somewhere north, but Great Britain. Okay, looks like Great Britain anyway. Shabam, shabam, shabam. Go. There you go. Fly. Take me to Great Britain. No, not Great Britain. Like Normandy. Where am I? We're on a bridge. We're on a... Oh, it's going under the canal. Oh, crazy. Where are we? We in Netherlands? Where am I? Can't tell. I am in Netherlands. Okay. Not Normandy. Normandy's there. Yeah. So we have a bridge. It's a cutout. So basically it's a tunnel without being a tunnel. And then there's a channel that cuts through. Pull all the water through. That's wild. And then there's a bridge on the other side. Make up your mind, man. You guys just do this because you thought it'd be interesting to do? What a weird... Hey, you know? More power to you. Yeah. Get through either way. You can go to the bridge, you can go over the road. Make, pick your poison. Looks like they got like big canal boats that pass through here. Is that one of those? What is that? Looks like a canal boat. Designed to go through either way. I dig it. It's wild. It's weird. Cool. Supreme Pig Roach says there's a new GME wallet release notes. Oh, I did not see that. Does that mean they're going from beta to full blown soon? Okay. Eric D. Houston, good evening. What do you think would be the next successor for the James Webb Space Telescope in terms of design? I mean, the next generation will probably be a similar segmented mirror like that, like these hexagonal mirrors, and they're segmented, put together. But the sci-fi in me would love to see a spheroidal mirror made out of the crater on the moon, out of a crater on the moon. And so, you know how Arecibo, the old telescope, radio telescope that was in Puerto Rico, Arecibo is the one that was used in James Bond GoldenEye. It's now no longer. It's all fallen apart since the big giant Hurricane Maria. But basically, they took an old volcanic crater, they made a spherical cone, and then the focal point can be anywhere that this listening device on these 3 cables moves to. So you can look at different parts of the planet or different parts of the galaxy using basically positioning that spot in a different spot. So essentially, that thing used the rotation of the Earth to look at different parts of the sky. So you collect this sweeping view of things for like brief moments, and then kind of get a little Doppler effect on all the signals. But now imagine this, right? Imagine this sci-fi. We've got fusion reaction energy. We've got all sorts of crazy stuff. We go to the dust from the moon. We go to a crater that was blasted out by a comet or something a long time ago, and we blast the dust with superheat, and we glassify all of it. So we glass the entire crater into one giant spheroidal mirror. And then we stick one of these... oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing here. Shit, I forgot to... I always forget. Okay. Turn on Chrome, turn off Google Earth. There you go. Here's Arecibo. Shit, I'm sorry. Arecibo, crater in a mountain. They turned into a giant reflective radio telescope. And then these 3 pylons, depending on which way they run the cables, they can focus on different spots in the sky using the receptor here. So you can build something similar on the moon, using our sci-fi technology that doesn't exist yet. So you glass the entire crater, and then you put up pylons to look at anywhere in the sky. It would be pretty awesome because it would be a gigantic, huge viewing area. We get resolution like nothing you could ever imagine. Because right now, like the biggest telescopes we build will probably be segmented mirrors, maybe 100 feet across. But if you can imagine, you have, a crater that's a mile across that you did this with, that would be freaking badass. And that is the type of future I want. Oh, and quit resetting, you stupid chat. Just stop it. Just let me start off with where I was, and I lost my spot. I thought I had a highlight here showing me where I was, and then the highlight went away. You little butt wipe. There it is. Okay, finally. Whew. Almost lost. I lost like an hour of the chat. Not my name. Reporting 369% lending rates on GME. Dang. Yeah. Eager to squeeze, Adam Aaron gave free popcorn before and now free icy. I'd rather pay for stuff so Adam can pay off debt faster. Your thoughts? If I had an AMC theater that was like not more than an hour away, I might go try a red and blue icy because I don't know if I've ever had one. I know I've had like a slushie of some kind, but I don't know if it was an icy or not. I know it was probably 30 years ago. So we just didn't have the machines. We didn't have them anywhere near me. It's up there with the Hot Pockets. I just never had one. Or if I did, don't remember. Darren Hia, not Haya, Hia, like Kia. Thank you. I never knew if I was pronouncing it wrong or right. Darren Hia. I will do that correct from now on, Darren. I promise. Darren Hia, Darren Hia, Darren Hia, Darren Hia, Darren Hia. Okay. Where's Baldo? Do you have any idea why the reverse repo chart is looking as hell and what it might entail for us regular folk? I haven't looked at it recently. Repo. New York Fed. What do you got from New York Fed? It's still at 2 trillion. We're at 2.2 trillion July 20th. That sucker ain't easing. I still think that they're holding on to this every single night to keep the banks from spending that money. Because it would just vanish. So 2.2 trillion is being held. So you got 2.2 trillion being held in those reverse repos. You have 8.9 trillion in securities owned by, there's 8.3 trillion somewhere in there, securities owned by the Federal Reserve. So there's your $10 trillion of emergency plan. And then you have however many trillions of assets that need to be sold off by hedge funds that are going to shit the brick. And so you've got 7 trillion in those family funds, probably 50 trillion in hedge funds. So, 60, 70 trillion dollars that can be dumped to pay us at some point. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't care if they have it. I care if I have it. Right? Daphne says, I had stem cells injections in my knees 4 years ago. It really helped. Well, there you go. I mean, things like tendons and ligaments and meniscus that won't necessarily grow back after they're injured. Maybe it's a way to, get a tendon or ligament to reform. I would love that for my elbow. My tricep tendon is still, half torn, which is why I never could throw hard enough again. It was 93 to 94, and then I tore my tricep tendon. And the best I ever got was back to the low 80s. I never could throw harder like that again. Just didn't have the tendon strength to be able to do that. James Bond in Madrid, 8 in the morning. Well, yeah, 8 in the morning for you. Very exciting for us to live in. Giant hug. Well, big hugs to you. I want to go to Madrid someday. It's probably, my guess is Madrid right now is the temperature of the sun. You guys are probably crazy hot at the moment. That heat bubble that's over you is insane. Yeah. Bo Fleeman, thank you for making work go way better tonight, buddy. We are closer than ever to be financially free. So close. So close. Did I get there? Am I caught up? Holy crap, I think I might be close to caught up here. Did I miss anything? I got that one? I think I got everybody. If I didn't, throw them in there if I missed you, because now I'm caught up, so I can see the stuff as it gets typed and entered. So send it my way. All right, Boss says, hey, Boss is in here. Oh my goodness, haven't seen you in here in a while, my man. 369.47, new all-time high, at least after hours. 324.56 on January 25th, 2021. Okay. Well, we did get intraday high of 480, right? And then we had people sold fractional shares to the equivalent of $5,000 each. So there's that weirdness, or over $5,000, I believe. So, we can get there. We can get that price crazy high. Chris Smith, what about if you have fractional GME shares? Still gonna get dicey. I have 0.7145 fractional shares. Someone said that ComputerShare fractional share people will get dividends for their fractional shares. I have no idea about other brokerages. Not a clue. Yeah. BTW brand. Tendons are one of the slowest healing parts of your body. The problem is they need to rest until they're done. It's hard not to ever use them. Yep. And good luck not using your arm for 4 years while that sucker heals. I still get tendonitis so bad sometimes. When I first got Monkey Butt, she's a polar. I tried to train her to heal, but she just loves that feeling. And I was using my arm so much to hold her back that I got tendonitis so bad in my hurt elbow. And I thought I'd like torn it again. I went to the orthopedic guy, and he was like, "Nope, just got tendonitis." Whew. Yeah. Daphne, I missed the first part of the show, so sorry if you went over this already. Why is ComputerShare taking away the ability to set high limit sells? It's because, so they claim, their broker, which is Bank of America, does not have the liquidity on hand to handle the sale of stock at those prices. Which, I mean, the entire reason you have a T+2 clearing is because the buyer is supposed to supply the liquidity, supposed to supply the cash. So I don't know what the broker is talking about here. It's going to lock up liquidity of the shares themselves because they're not available as potential sales at those low prices. And if you have it locked up if you're in a regular brokerage and you put a limit sale on your stock, it's locked up and they can't lend it out. Even if you like in those emergencies and you don't have margin set or anything, they may still like come in and steal your shares. Excuse me. In the clearing process, if like a hedge fund of theirs sold naked, they might just straight up steal your shares, give you synthetic, and pass your shares along to clear. But they can't do that if you've got a limit sale going on your stock. So they hate that. They hate having limit sales just sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. What was that? Someone had something about Supreme Pig Roach GME Wallet version 0.5.3 release notes allowing adding of custom tokens when promptum from DApp, possible NFT dividend. Ooh, that may signal also that we get Problemo coins, more than a year too late into the GME wallet. That's a custom token. But yeah, Supreme Pig Roach. Allowing custom tokens was ERC20s. Awesome. Let's do it. Sharky Flimpy. Good morning from the Netherlands. Well, good evening from the Pacific Northwest. DVS, do you think we will MOASS tonight, Friday, or in about 3 months? The best chance, I think, is about 3 months. Although I think we can see some crazy price action between now and then. We are at the end of one of those T35s right now. So we're seeing people buy in. Plus, we're probably seeing some FOMO of folks who want to pick up those extra shares. The options chain are going to get weird because you're looking at 100 shares suddenly becoming 400 shares. So the ability to magnify the value of those options are going to be nuts. Because if you bought 100 shares in your original option, or you have the option to get 100 shares, so that becomes 400. So every time the price goes up $1, it goes up $4 on all those shares. And so if we have similar price action that we saw like February 2021, where we went from $40 to $350 in like, 5 weeks? That is $30,000, $120,000 per option all of a sudden. That same similar kind of price action. That's nuts. Like, if you exercise those suckers, holy shit. The gamma would be insane. That would trigger all sorts of crazy MOASS conditions, I think. It'd be absolutely nuts. Wind moon, bro. Wind moon. When it happens, damn it. I'll turn this car around. All right. Supreme Pig Roach, I got a GME 950 January call. It's up 7% so far. Well, there you go. It's going to become a GME what, $275 call, somewhere in there. 280. I don't know. Can't do the math in my head in a moment. Angel Flores called Fidelity and was told fractional shares would get to 4-1. All right. Sweet. Daphne also asks, what is the bullish story for MOASS post-split? I mean, the regular market's going to tank really, really hard, and there'll probably be a low sometime at or after MOASS happens. And so if you want to like double your money, you just gobble up all those blue chips again. Or you go and you gobble up a bunch of real estate, because the real estate will be crashing as well, and that will climb right back up at some point. It's going to be good to have cash at that time. Those, what everyone's talking about, the Coca-Cola millionaires during the Great Depression, they're the ones with cash. BW Brand Houston, you have to do a show Friday. I will definitely be doing a show Friday. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I still have one more class to teach Friday day. So I think I'll get done with that around noon my time. So I'll be doing the show after noon Pacific time is when I can do it. SS Minute, you think JB Pritzker is too large to wipe? Never seen a guy that big. It reminds me of the Bash Brothers, the late 80s, early 90s Oakland A's. You had Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, and Ruben Sierra. And those dudes were juicing like nobody's business. And they were really the first dudes to like discover that if you pump yourself full of steroids, Ben Johnson style, you can just crank home runs. And I think it was like the 1990-91 season. Ruben Sierra showed up to spring training, and he was so big, his pecs and his biceps are so big, he actually couldn't put his hands together to hold a baseball bat. And so he had to like deflate because he couldn't hold a bat. And so they basically like stopped working out, and it took him months for like his body to get small enough where he could hold a baseball bat again. Yeah, some freakish things can happen with the human body. Ollie Shan, happy birthday, my guy. Super dumb question, but won't they just switch off the buy button again during the squeeze? Well, the last time they did it, they did not have the eyes of the SEC and Congress looking at them. And by shutting off the buy button, resulted in RICO investigations by the Department of Justice and by weeks and weeks and weeks of hearings by Congress. So this time around, I don't think that they're going to have that option. I don't think they're going to be able to say, turn off the buy button. I think they're just going to have to let this thing run and go and damn the consequences. Because if they turn off the buy button again, I think it means prison. I think it means prison for these folks. Because they are obfuscating the market in a way that should not be obfuscated. Chris Smith, what's your opinion about the Adam Aaron tweets of late? Plus, what's your expectation of the AMC earnings call August 4th? I think the AMC earnings call August 4th is going to be fantastic. They've had multiple blockbusters this year, and ticket sales are the highest they've been since even before the pandemic, since years before. So I think that they're going to be really green for the earnings call on August 4th. His tweets as of late, they're cryptic. And Adam Aaron's just kind of a dork, so like him trying to like be this weird tough guy ape thing always just sounds weird. But I have a feeling that they're going to announce some sort of deal with a studio, whether it's a merger or an agreement. They're going to have something. They're going to announce somewhere in there with a major studio that will take place after August 7th when the Paramount law no longer applies. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to get through a couple more, and then that'll be it for the evening. DVS Girk and his quants over on Pickle Financial have devised a new indicator that looks at fund flow between XRT and ETFs and it is forward leading indicator of GME's price action. That sounds cool. So basically, short here, steal from there, put it back, and it's a flow of how they're passing shares around the various ETFs. That's what it sounds like. I like it. Daphne, did you get huge shirts yet? I need to go to the post office. Post office box tomorrow. Post office box tomorrow. I actually walked to where the post office was, but I didn't have my keys with me. So I really want an ice cream bar. So the dogs and I took like a 6-mile walk round trip to go get ice cream bar and come back. I didn't have my key with me for my post office box, so I didn't check my post office box. But I'll check it tomorrow. Post office box. Okay. Post office box. DVS, it's spooky and seems to actually work. Gives you about 30 seconds notice. So it's not a very high, not a very fast time. So it gives you notice kind of in the similar way that the order flow codes do. It does give you a few minutes notice as to what price action is going to be. But yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Is that it for me? That may be it for me, monkey. No show tomorrow. Late night, I may do a Twitch tomorrow night. And otherwise, I'll see you guys Friday afternoon for a show. It's going to get really hot here next week. Like upper 90s, possibly 100 degrees about this time next week. So I may go to my mother's basement condo because it never gets above 60. It's underground. It's a wonderful, cool respite. So I may have to do a show from her laptop next week if it does get into the temperature ranges. Because up here it'll be like 130 up here. It's absolutely inhuman. There's no way to survive. So yeah. So depending on what the temperature does next week, you may see some shows out of me from guest star locations. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's it for me. One of these. And I'm wishing you all a good night. And I'll see you Friday. And best of luck for Christmas tomorrow after close when we get our shares. I wish you all the best. And I hope that the prices all go absolutely bonkers for us. And adieu.